we've been building things here that you might expect to come across based on like perspectives in Western media. So you don't envision people building like next generation AI or financial service tools that are global in nature and like, first in the world. So for me, like built in Africa is about like people and the origin stories of those people and the fundamental moments that made them who they are.
You're in the right place. Welcome to the Built in Africa podcast, where we connect trailblazers of the African diaspora through the unifying language of tech. On this episode, we connect with Wiza Jalakasi, former international expansion lead at Africa's Talking, a Kenyan enterprise software company that gives developers access to telco infrastructure with APIs. Let's get into it. Wiza's tech journey started out installing programming software with his dad, one of Malawi's first computer dealers, and evolved to co-founding a startup. Listen as he shares a little bit about his background and how he got to Africa's Talking.
So yeah, I'm from Malawi. I'm born and raised there. Lived there for the first 19 years of my life, and then moved to Nairobi, Kenya, to study, where I met my co-founder at my second startup. Yeah, ran that for some time. Raised a little bit of VC, but we didn't really like get anywhere with the company or the product. So we decided to shut that down. And around the time I was leaving that company, the founders of Africa's Talking were like mentors for the previous company, so they had been like aware of the challenge that we've been having. And yeah, basically coming out of that, they just like made me a job offer to go and like set up the business in Malawi. And yeah, I basically took it and went to go set it up in Malawi. And I guess I must have done a pretty okay job, because then they asked me to move back to Kenya and like run international expansion for the group. So we went from like managing two countries to trying to essentially manage. At the time that I was leaving, we had like I think 13 live countries, and we had like incorporated in 20 countries all over the continent.
Every so often there comes an engineer who can code, manage people, and generate business. Someone who can serve as a bridge between business and tech. A code switcher, if you will. And Wiza is one of them. Listen as he shares how he did it.
It starts with like competence in both areas. So like you pick a side that you want to become competent in initially. I think tech is easier to get started with because it's easier to measure. So like, I can tell you like I write PHP code, I write HTML, I write a little bit of Node, and like you can very easily quantify the level of skill that I have like in that regard. So like for me, it was like I started as a techie, just like writing code, doing things. And then understanding the business requirements has just been a function of spending time with people. I find that like, some of the best software developers spend all their time in front of the screen, like writing code. Like they're listening to music, they're writing code. They don't want to be disturbed, they don't want to like socialize. And while that is great for building that technical muscle, it's very difficult to understand business requirements and to be able to like bridge these two worlds without a strong sense for just like talking to people. So like I started like get the technical skills, and then after that like stop writing code and just start like talking to people and helping them design their solutions. Once you start doing that, you find that like almost naturally people start telling you their problems, and you in your head you're already seeing the code, like, oh, this can be solved in this way, this can be solved in this way. And then that made me very useful for like the product team at Africa's Talking, because like I would be able to have conversations with the biggest customers, understand what their requirements are. And instead of taking them the requirements as is from a business point of view, I'll just give them technical requirements. So we need this storage push to be increased by this amount because of X, Y, Z. And then that makes it felt like that made communication like much smoother, because oftentimes there can be a disconnect between the commercial side of a startup as well as the technical side, like the trade-offs. The tech guys are trying to optimize the technology, the commercial people are trying to optimize for money, and there's this never-ending tension between the two. So like having that skill set really helps to soften up that little thing. And it was very useful for me because like if I was going into a meeting with a customer, I need to be talking like commercial language. And if I'm going to a meeting with a telco, I need to be talking technical language.
Yeah.
And like for me, that journey has been like tech first, and I got really, really deep into tech. Like, I even formally trained as a software engineer in USIU, where I studied here in Kenya. But then like my career has been on the business side of things, and I found that like having that deep technical knowledge has made the business conversation so much easier because there's no gaps for me on the tech side. So a lot of the business people that I talk to, they have absolutely no visibility at all into the technology.
Since
But like, all
2016,
businesses are
Africa's
just like
Talking has
people.
expanded to 18 African countries and supports about 5,000 businesses, ranging from early stage startups to large organizations. Listen as Wiza shares some of the challenges he faced.
Yeah, for me, it was just like dealing with the fragmented regulatory environment of different countries. Like it was wild. It was wildly different. So it means that each country you have to understand a different set of requirements. Like there was no scaling linearly. There was no copy pasting the model that was built in Kenya and taking it to Uganda. Like each country was different. The regulatory frameworks were different. So um, I had to have a lot of space and tolerance for these fundamental differences and try to build business structures that would abstract them from the dependencies at like the headquarters. So a lot of our engineering was based in between Lagos and Nairobi, and the engineer in Nairobi doesn't know anything about like what's happening in Cote d'Ivoire, doesn't speak a word of French, and to integrate with somebody at a telecoms company in Abidjan who only speaks French. And they have an entirely different way of doing things, an entirely different set of business norms. So like it was like very, very difficult, and like it doesn't scale elegantly. It's not like a problem you can solve with code. So we had to like hire people and put in place operators who can figure out these things and manage these relationships in each country and abstract it at the headquarters level. So there's that, and then there's also like just actual like business regulation. The requirements for setting up a business in each country are fundamentally different. Some of the countries require you to have a local shareholder and a local director.
And that's it for this episode. If you haven't already, check out the full article on our website, builtinafrica.io, found in the description. And while you're there, subscribe to our newsletter so we may keep you up to date with the latest. But until then, keep building.